Assalamualaikum and a very good day to my panel of Viva presentation, Dr. Azlyn Ahmad Zawawi and also Dr. Junaida Ismail. My name is Nur Arissa binti Abdul Hafiz with matrix number 2018414648 and I am from class KAM 2286A.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Maisyahirah binti Che Ros. My student ID is 2018260092 and our research title is The Effectiveness of Government Assistance Program PRIHATIN towards SME during the Movement Control Order MCO in Kulim, Kedah. At the end of 2019, the world has been struck by a pandemic known as COVID-19, which has caused many consequences towards the human species. The first case was reported in Wuhan, China, and it began to spread to the rest of the world in 2020. In most of the Asian countries, the pandemic has caused an immediate economic disruptions that has led to a decline in business. The major concern about the first outbreak in China is that it has affected the supply chain, which involve other countries such as the ASEAN member states due to its factories shutdown. Many restrictions has been imposed worldwide in order to control the spread of the virus, such as cancelling flight, closing the border, temporary closure of few sectors, practicing social distancing, lockdown as well as quarantine. In Malaysia, the first case was reported in January 2020 and the government has implemented few initiatives in order to safeguard the citizens, such as imposing Movement Control Order MCO, confinement as well as practicing social distancing. The MCO has involved the closure of the entire government, private and commercial premises with an exceptions for the essential services. In order to overcome the issues faced by the businesses, especially the small and medium enterprise SME, the government has implemented the PRIHATIN Economic Stimulus Package in order to ease the burden of the citizens as well as to help the businesses to cope with the pandemic situation. Thus, this research aims to find out whether the government has provided an effective assistance in helping the SMEs and what are the influential factors that boost its effectiveness towards the SME, especially in the area of Kulim, Kedah.
The global health crisis that started in the year 2020 impacted businesses of all sizes and in all industries. This has led to lockdowns, reduction in consumption, the closure of communities, and the elimination of businesses. From the Malaysia's perspective, the implementation and subsequent extension of the Movement Control Order, or known as MCO, have greatly affected the Malaysia's economic performance. A lot of SMEs businesses has shut down during the MCO because they could not survive stably. As mentioned in the newspaper The Star, a total of 32,469 SMEs have folded since March 2020 when the Movement Control Order was first implemented to stem down the COVID-19. Statistics by the Companies Commission of Malaysia, or known as SSM, provided that 9,675 SMEs shut down their operation during the first phase of the MCO from March 18 to June 9. During the recovery MCO phase from June until September 2020, 22,795 SMEs shut down. August recorded the highest figure with 70,800 SMEs folding during that month. Department of Statistics Malaysia, DOSM, came out with the data as of 1st May 2020. 67.8% of the total 4,000 Malaysian companies responded that no sales and revenue during the MCO period. The company's main challenges are the financial sources for salary and rental payment and low customer flow. SME businesses is vital to the economy in this modern era, as SMEs are an important source of job creation. Due to SMEs businesses, it could be seen that a high rate of unemployment reduction happen. Therefore, in this research study is conducted to see how the government assistance program is helping the affected SMEs during the Movement Control Order in Malaysia.
In this research, there are 5 questions that we will respond to. Number 1, what is the level of effectiveness of government assistance programs toward SME during the Movement Control Order? Number 2, what is the relationship between the financial management of SME and the effectiveness of government assistance program towards SME during the Movement Control Order? Number 3, what is the relationship between the performance of SME and the effectiveness of government assistance program towards SME during the Movement Control Order? Number 4, what is the relationship between the business owner enthusiasm
and the effectiveness of government assistance program towards SME during the movement control order. And last but not least, number 5, what is the most influential factor that affect the effectiveness of government assistance program towards SME during the movement control order?
This research study consists of 5 objectives, which are the first one is to identify the level of effectiveness of government assistance program, which is the PRIHATIN towards SMEs during movement control order (MCO). The second one is to identify the relationship between the financial management of SMEs and the effectiveness of government assistance program, which is the PRIHATIN towards SMEs during MCO. The third one is to identify the relationship between the performance of SMEs and the effectiveness of government assistance program towards SMEs during MCO. The fourth one is to identify the relationship between the business owners' enthusiasm and the effectiveness of government assistance program, which is the PRIHATIN, towards SMEs during movement control order. And the last research objective for our research study is to determine the most influential factor that affect the effectiveness of government assistance program, PRIHATIN, towards SMEs during MCO.
This conceptual framework will explain on the relationship between the independent variables in the study, which are financial management, performance of SMEs, as well as business owners' enthusiasm, towards the dependent variable, which is the effectiveness of government assistance program to SME during the movement control order.
This research study consists of 3 hypotheses. The first one is for research objective number 2, for the H-null, there is no significant relationship between the financial management of SMEs and the effectiveness of government assistance program (GAP) PRIHATIN towards SMEs during movement control order (MCO). As for the H alternative, there is a significant relationship between the financial management of SMEs and the effectiveness of GAP PRIHATIN towards SMEs during MCO. The second hypothesis of this research study is based on research objective number 3. For H-null, there is no significant relationship between the performance of SMEs and the effectiveness of GAP PRIHATIN towards SMEs during MCO. And for the H alternative, there is a significant relationship between the performance of SMEs and the effectiveness of GAP PRIHATIN towards SMEs during MCO. And the third hypothesis of this research study is based on the research objective number 4. For the H-null, there is no significant relationship between the business owner's enthusiasm and the effectiveness of GAP PRIHATIN towards SMEs during MCO. And for H alternative, there is a significant relationship between the business owner enthusiasm and the effectiveness of GAP PRIHATIN towards SMEs during MCO.
The unit of analysis used in the study is individual, which refers to the SME owners. As for the sample size, we distributed the questionnaire to 106 SME owners in Kulim. However, we only received 27 responses within 1 week. Next, the sampling technique used in the study is census, in which the data is collected from each of the individuals in the population, since the population is small. There are 3 levels of measurements used in the study, which are nominal, ordinal, and interval. The nominal scale is based on some common traits of categories, such as the demographic profile of the respondents, for example, gender and the SME primary business activity. The ordinal scale explains on the ranking or order of any data, such as age, education level of the respondents, as well as the years engaged in business. Lastly, the interval scale is used by using the Likert scale, in which the range 1 until 5 is used to signify strongly agree, neutral, disagree, and strongly disagree to identify the factors that influence the effectiveness of government assistance program towards SME during the movement control order. The data collection was done by distributing the questionnaire to the SME owners by using Google Forms, since many of the shops were physically closed due to the MCO. Cross-sectional study was done as the data were collected within 1 week, and the questionnaire was written in both Bahasa Malaysia and English to increase the understanding of the respondent. The questionnaire were also self-administered, as the respondents filled the questionnaire on their own. As for data analysis, the descriptive analysis is used to describe the sample study characteristic and also to check whether there is any violation of the assumptions of the variables. Pearson correlation is also used in order to determine which factor contribute the most towards the effectiveness of government assistance program. And lastly, multiple regression analysis is used to observe the relationship between one dependent variable, which is the effectiveness of government assistance program PRIHATIN toward SME during the movement control order, and the three independent variables, which are financial management, performance of SMEs, as well as the business owners' enthusiasm.
Based on the findings, the result shows that the effectiveness of government assistance program, which is the PRIHATIN, contributed moderately, or I can say that averagely, towards SMEs during movement control order. This can be proven as the average mean value is in between 3.15 and 3.78. Therefore, it can be concluded that the government is somehow concerned and did put effort to help and assist SMEs during this critical time of pandemic. Since the occurrence of COVID-19, Ministry of Finance has provided many assistance programs towards SMEs by collaborating with commercial banks and Bank Negara Malaysia. The government assistance program, which is the PRIHATIN, was introduced in April 2020. Recently, in June 2021, the government has come up with a new government assistance program to help the SMEs known as Pemulih. Pemulih basically has the same objective and medium use as PRIHATIN. All of the government assistance program provided by the government were responded in such a positive way by the SMEs owners in Kulim Kedah. Based on the findings for research objective number 2, it illustrates that there is no significant relationship between the financial management of SMEs and the effectiveness of government assistance program PRIHATIN, because the R value is 0.369 and the P value is 0.59, which is more than the value of p-value, which is 0.05. Therefore, the following H alternative, which stated that there is a significant relationship between the financial management and the effectiveness of government assistance program PRIHATIN towards SMEs during MCO, is rejected. In this sense, the government assistance program, which is the PRIHATIN given by the government, is not a focal point in helping the SMEs in Kulim Kedah in the terms of their financial management. From the findings, it can be highlighted that the financial management adoption among the SMEs owners in Kulim Kedah were average, seeing that most of the SMEs practice their financial management but moderately. It shows that SMEs owner might not be able to utilize efficiently the government assistance program, which is the PRIHATIN, as it only make the SMEs to sustain for a few months of movement control order in 2020.
Based on finding for research objective 3, it shows that there is a significant relationship between the performance of SME and the effectiveness of government assistance program PRIHATIN towards SME during the movement control order. It is proven as the R value is 0.064 and the P value is 0.000, which is less than 0.05. This shows that the statement of alternative hypothesis, which stated that there is a significant relationship between the performance of SMEs and the effectiveness of government assistance program PRIHATIN towards SME during the movement control order, is accepted. Based on the finding for research objective 4, it shows that there is a significant relationship between the business owners' enthusiasm and the effectiveness of government assistance program PRIHATIN towards SME during the movement control order. It is proven as the R value is 0.706 and the P value is 0.000, which is less than 0.05. Hence, we can say that the statement of alternative hypothesis, which stated that there is a significant relationship between the business owners' enthusiasm and the effectiveness of government assistance program PRIHATIN towards SME during the movement control order, is accepted. Based on the finding for research objective 5, it shows that the most dominant and influential factor that affects the effectiveness of government assistance program PRIHATIN towards SME during the movement control order, specifically in Kulim, is the business owners' enthusiasm. It has the greatest standardized beta value with 0.528 compared to other variables. The P value of business owners' enthusiasm is also the only one that below than 0.05, which is at 0.039, and it proved that it has a significant relationship across the effectiveness of government assistance program PRIHATIN towards SME during the movement control order. This explains that the motivation, passion, and the willingness of the business owners to power through the challenges of the pandemic are important to ensure that the government assistance program are effective and works at its best.
There are few constraints that the researchers have faced while conducting the research survey. The first limitation is the number of sample size. Due to the implementation of strict MCO, most of the SMEs businesses cannot operate like usual. Therefore, the respondents that are keen for this research study are quite low. The second limitation is there are quite number of SMEs have shut down due to the pandemic COVID-19 and MCO itself. Most of the SMEs has closed down, and some of the business owner move their business to digitalize their business fully. The researcher cannot collect data as much as they could because the government assistance program, which is the PRIHATIN, is only applicable for business owner or business that own a shop and registered. The third limitation of the study is the method of research survey conducted to the respondents. There were respondents who do not understand what was the question in the survey is all about, and they could not ask directly to the researchers. Therefore, the conducted method of research survey is not really suitable for this kind of research study. The first suggestion for future research study is to widen the scope of study. There are few other government assistance programs introduced by the government other than the PRIHATIN. There are Pemerkasa, Penjana, and recently they introduced the Pemulih. Other government assistance program can also be included for future research to see if really government provide effective assistance program towards SMEs to help them specifically during this critical time like this pandemic COVID-19. The second suggestion is to conduct the research study in a wider geographical area. The SMEs in big cities such as Penang, Selangor or Kuala Lumpur have larger number of SMEs. There are still more SMEs that are still operating in big areas due to the economic activity at those cities are running, even during MCO. Therefore, if the research is conducted in bigger geographical area, the respondent rate might be higher. The third suggestion for future research study is to have a face-to-face survey as a method to collect data. Having a face-to-face survey can provide the researchers with more accurate data and information that will be useful for the research study conducted.
To sum up, we can conclude that there is only one independent variable, which is the financial management, that has no significant relationship across the effectiveness of government assistance program PRIHATIN, and the most influential and dominant factor in influencing the effectiveness of government assistance program PRIHATIN towards SME during the movement control order in Kulim Kedah is the business owners' enthusiasm. With that is the end of our presentation. Thank you to both panels, Dr. Azlyn and Dr. Junaida, and have a nice day.